Wright and all of the shows here on the Station of the Cross are made possible through the support of you, our listeners. We just launched our 2026 Spring Appeal. As you may know, many of our listeners often ask us to pray that their family members come back to the church. That's why we chose Lord, Save My Loved Ones as the theme for this appeal. Please consider partnering with us in support of our mission. Call 1-877-711-8500, weekdays 8 to 5 p.m. Eastern, or visit thestationofthecross.com. You can also use the donation page of your iCatholic Radio mobile app, or return the envelope from one of our Spring Appeal mailings. You can also donate during our on-air appeal, which will take place April 27th through May 1st, from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Regardless of when or how you donate, you'll receive a bookmark featuring St. Monica and St. Augustine that includes a prayer for loved ones who have wandered from the faith, as well as other great thank you gifts that will help you and your family grow in your faith. You can view all those gifts at thestationofthecross.com. Thank you, and may God richly bless you and your family.
Discover the timeless beauty of our Catholic faith with David Fielding's Our Faith and Light of the World series. These beautifully illustrated books bring the life of Christ and the teachings of the Church to life for children and families alike. Reverent artwork, engaging stories, and thoughtful activities inspire young hearts to understand the faith and grow in love for it. Find these and more at castleofgrace.com, where faith and family meet in every page. That's castleofgrace.com.
The Catholic Current, bringing Christ to the world and the world to Christ.
And we see the spirit of that thing, entering the church in a very specific way with St. Pius X back at the turn of the last century, and then on into the Second Vatican Council era. And the spirit of the council is the great coming out party of the modernist revolution, which has its roots in that same Enlightenment philosophy of the 18th century.
The Catholic Current, 5 p.m. Eastern, from the Station of the Cross and on the iCatholic Radio mobile app.
Hello, this is Father Jim Netto with the Diocese of Portland, Maine. In Krakow, Poland on the 2nd of June, 1938, the Lord Jesus himself directed a young Polish Sister of Mercy on a 3-day retreat. Sister Faustina painstakingly recorded Christ's instructions in her diary, that is, a mystical manual on prayer and divine mercy. These instructions became Faustina's weapon in fighting the good fight. Jesus began, "My daughter, I want to teach you about spiritual warfare." Secret number 24. Know that you are on a great stage where all heaven and earth are watching you. This secret reminds us that we are all on a great stage where heaven and earth are watching. What message is our life giving? What radiates from us? Shades of light, darkness, or gray? The way we live attracts more light or more darkness. If the devil does not succeed in pulling us into darkness, he tries to keep us in the category of the lukewarm, which is not pleasing to God. For a lukewarm soul is not yet quite dead in the eyes of God, because the faith and the hope and the charity that are its spiritual life are not altogether extinct. But it's a faith without zeal. It is a hope without resolution. It is a charity without passion. The lukewarm soul is like a turtle. It moves only by dragging itself along the ground. You can see it getting from place to place with great difficulty. Lord God, your word tells us that if a soul remains lukewarm for a lifetime, you will spit it out of your mouth. Save us from that fate. Breathe the spark within us to make it a blazing fire of love for you.
Catholic radio has just been a lifesaver for me. I still listen to it every day. I start my day with it. I listen to it all day long as much as I can. I am very grateful for it.
It's just an amazing thing to have, as I am new to Catholicism. Obviously, it's not only helping me, but it's helping so many other people on their walk.
Thank you. God bless you for iCatholic Radio. It has changed my life.
Donate today at thestationofthecross.com.
This is Joe McClane, and you're listening to the Station of the Cross, proclaiming the fullness of the truth with clarity and charity.
Heard around the world on your Android and Apple mobile devices.
Go into the world and and tell every man that you meet, there is a man on the cross.
A Catholic Take. What you need to know right now. A bold synthesis of inspiration and information. Keeping you up to date on the news and issues from a courageous Catholic perspective.
A Catholic Take with Joe McClane starts now.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClane. Praise be to God. It's good to be on with you. Today, let's remember the disastrous pontificate of Pope Francis. I argue we need to remember. We must remember just how bad it truly was in order to learn the lessons and then not have to repeat them in the future. In fact, Os Usti Press has published a book over the last year, The Disastrous Pontificate by Dominic Grigio. And that's a pseudonym. The real priest behind the book has to be anonymous. His bishop doesn't want the fire and the ire of all of those Pope splainers coming after him. It's a big book with lots of receipts to demonstrate just how bad things were. In fact, Dr. Peter Kwasniewski is going to be joining us to talk about Pope Francis's turbulent pontificate under a microscope at 30 past the hour. Golly gee whiz. Let us never forget what happens when the wrong man sits on the chair of St. Peter. Let's just say it that way. Also on the team, Aaron is going to be here. Aaron is back. Aaron McAfee is a writer, and he also writes often with Crisis Magazine and other outlets. We're going to be weighing into a crazy story. Have a listen to this.
As you mentioned, Christine, 10 scientists involved with government agencies or military research died or have been reported missing since 2023. 3 worked at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in La Cañada, Flint Ridge near Pat.
We're going to be getting into this story. I'm going to link to everything for you in the show notes. It's bizarre, and people are just now starting to talk about it. In fact, Aaron sent me images of some of these scientists afraid for their life. They're all having these weird rash things. Aaron McAfee joins us at 14 past the hour to talk about that. We'll put links to everything in the show notes for you at the top of the hour where you can be a part of the conversation too. thestationofthecross.com/ACT. Let's get after it. But do me a favor, share us with a friend. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgins, my mother. To thee do I come, before thee I stand sinful and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not my petitions, but in thy mercy hear and answer me. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And now your saint of the day with producer James, who's back in the studio.
Saint Agnes of Montepulciano, pray for us. Agnes was born to a wealthy Italian family in the year of our Lord 1268. By the age of 6, she was constantly asking her parents to be allowed to join a convent. At the age of 9, she was granted extraordinary permission to join the local Franciscans, known as the Sackins or Sisters of the Sack, for their rough sackcloth habits. Her piety and maturity were so impressive that when she was still just 15 years old, Pope Nicholas IV gave special permission for her to become the abbess of a new Dominican convent in Proceno. Agnes remained beloved in her hometown, and when she was about 30, the people of Montepulciano convinced her to return and lead another new Dominican convent that they had built for her. All her life, Agnes fasted on bread and water and slept with a stone for a pillow until her spiritual directors guided her to reduce these austerities due to a lingering illness. She was renowned for many miracles and the gift of prophecy. Agnes died at her convent in Montepulciano at the age of 49, and many more miracles occurred at the tomb of her incorrupt body. The great Dominican St. Catherine of Siena venerated her as our mother, the glorious Agnes. For more about the saints and seasons of the Catholic Church, visit thestationofthecross.com/saints and seasons. St. Agnes of Montepulciano, pray for us.
And now your headline news. Reuters reports Israeli soldier desecrates a crucifix in southern Lebanon, drawing condemnation. A photo that emerged online over the weekend shows an Israeli soldier taking the blunt side of an axe to a fallen crucifix to the face of our Savior Jesus on the cross. The cross was part of a small shrine, the garden of a Christian family living on the edge of the village, according to the local priest. The Assembly of Catholic Ordinaries of the Holy Land, which includes His Eminence Cardinal Pizzaballa, said in a statement that this constitutes a grave affront to the Christian faith. NBC reports 8 children killed in Louisiana shooting. The suspect was the father of 7 victims. A tragedy. A man shot and killed 8 children ages 3 to 11 at a home in Shreveport, Louisiana, in what police describe as a domestic violence incident. The suspect fled the scene and was killed by police after a short chase. And Ground News reports in a new poll, Trump's approval rating hits second-term low as Americans sour on the economy and the Iran war. On Sunday, an NBC News poll revealed President Donald Trump's overall approval rating reached 37% this month, marking the lowest figure since the NBC News desk began tracking his favorability during his second term. Survey data revealed that 67% of adults disapproved of Trump's handling of the war with Iran, while 54% indicating they strongly disapproved of the conflict. And those are your headline news. The gospel today comes to us in the 1962 Missal from John chapter 10, verses 11 through 16. At that time, Jesus said to the Pharisees, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for his sheep. But the hireling, and he that is not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf coming, and leaveth the sheep, and fleeth. And the wolf catcheth and scattereth the sheep. And the hireling fleeth because he is a hireling, and he hath no care for the sheep. I am the good shepherd, and I know mine, and mine know me. As the Father knoweth me, and I know the Father, and lay down my life for the sheep. And other sheep I have that are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and shall be one fold and one sheep. The Gospel of the Lord. Laus tibi Christi. There is, Jesus is speaking to the Pharisees here. So he's saying something that to us doesn't mean a whole lot, but to them, this would have been like very important, like triggering. They would have understood precisely the deeper, more fascinating and intimate meaning that Jesus is trying to communicate. But to you and I, because we're, 2026 Christians living in the West, there's a lot of deeper meaning that's lost on us. But not to them. They would have got the message. What was the last great shepherd that they would have truly understood? King David. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 17 down to verse 34. This is when the young shepherd boy, David, coming to feed his brothers, bring food to the battlefront where his brothers were preparing to go to war, when Goliath stood out there and mocked the Israelites, mocked and blasphemed against God. David sees it, and he is bewildered why the cowardice Israeli army does nothing to stop this blasphemer. And so he volunteers himself to King Saul. And this is what he said. Because Saul's like, you're just a little boy. Who are you? How could you possibly fight the great Goliath? David says, your servant used to keep sheep for his father. And whenever a lion or a bear came and took a lamb from the flock, I went after it and struck it down, rescuing the lamb from its mouth. And if it turned against me, I would catch it by the jaw, strike it down, and kill it. Your servant has killed both lions and bears, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be like one of them, since he has defied the armies of the living God. David said, the Lord who saved me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear will save me from the hand of the Philistines. So Saul said to David, go, and may the Lord be with you. Close quote. I want you to ruminate on that for a second. Because this is what our Savior Jesus is tapping into in the mind of the Jews whom he was speaking to. These Pharisees would have known this off the top of their head, that a great shepherd puts himself between the enemy and the flock and will fight to the death if necessary for that flock. But the hireling flees from the wolves. And one greater than David is here. We know that because in Luke chapter 1, verse 28 and following, the angel Gabriel, the one who came from the very face of God, the burning one, says to the Blessed Virgin Mary that her divine child, whom she will bear, will inherit the kingdom of David, his father. One greater than Solomon is here. One greater than David is here. The new Adam, who will not run because an ancient serpent, a seven-headed dragon, will come breathing fire. He will not run, but he will stand his ground, and he will fight unto the death. And he will cry out with loud cries and lamentations to the one who is able to hear him, and he will be heard because of his righteousness. That is what St. Paul says to the Jews in his letter to the Hebrews. One greater than David is here. But these Pharisees, they were like the hireling who ran and would never fight to the death to protect the sheep. And Jesus says one more thing. There are others, not of this flock, who I will have to bring in, and we will be one. That is the Gentiles. Because the oath, the covenant that God swore with David in 2 Samuel chapter 7 was for the whole world, not just the Jews, but for Gentiles too. That is what God swore with David, and this is the perfection of that in Jesus. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere.
iCatholic Mobile is a proud sponsor of the Station of the Cross. Solid connections, reliable data. That's iCatholic Mobile, a 5G wireless provider dedicated to your faith and values. Enjoy unlimited talk and text, dependable coverage nationwide. And every plan has unlimited data and free roaming in Canada and Mexico. iCatholic Mobile, the service that connects you to what matters most. More info at iCatholicMobile.com.
Hear what our listeners are saying about the regularly updated iCatholic Radio mobile app.
iCatholic Radio is the most truthful and important site that any of us could ever listen to today. We get the truth. We get good people telling us what is going on in the world. Thank you so much. It's a gift from God.
Download the free iCatholic Radio mobile app today on your Android or Apple mobile device.
Please join us in a prayer to St. Anthony of Padua. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. O dear protector, St. Anthony, on this day we direct our fervent prayer to you, asking you to hear us and to intercede for us. We are parents who ask for peace in our families, our worthy occupations, and our daily bread. We are children who ask for divine assistance and protection in the hope of a successful and happy future. We are the needy poor, the afflicted, and sinners who come to you for help and grace. Therefore, speak on our behalf to that child whom you hold in your arms, and we are sure of being heard. Amen.
Be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClane. Praise be to God. It is good to be on with you. Coming up at 30 past the hour, Dr. Peter Kwasniewski is going to be on the team. We're going to be talking about the Disastrous Pontificate of Pope Francis. His publishing house, Os Usti Press, this last year published a book on the very title, Pope Francis's Rupture from the Magisterium, and it's thick and it's filled with the receipts. We're going to get into exactly what was so disastrous about that pontificate with Dr. Kwasniewski coming up. But there is a rash of missing or dead scientists all involved in top secret type of things for the government. And it's very, very concerning. And now secular news is starting to pick up on this. Here's just one example from a clip out of Los Angeles. Have a listen to this.
10 scientists involved with government agencies or military research died or have been reported missing since 2023. 3 worked at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in La Cañada Flint Ridge near Pasadena. Michael Dowd Hicks was a researcher. He died in July 2023. Frank Maywald, a principal researcher, died in July 2024. Monica Jacinto Reza was an aerospace engineer at JPL. She vanished last June while hiking with a companion in the Angeles National Forest. Carl Grillmar was a Caltech astrophysicist, shot and killed outside his home. The questions now, were these coincidences or is it something more sinister?
Those are just California examples. There are others. Aaron McAfee, Catholic author, he has been following this, and he joins us this afternoon to weigh in. Aaron, thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, great to be back.
So, kind of a crazy story. Tell us, I gave the example of California. There's several in California, but you've got some on your X feed here that are from, looks like Alabama, the Huntsville laboratory there. So, what is the scope of this? How big is this issue?
Well, that part is a little bit difficult to say at this point in time. I would say this all sort of really began with the disappearance of General William Neal McCaslin, who formerly was the head of special projects at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. He was a major general. And so his disappearance was particularly striking. I mean, scientists die like everyone else. Sometimes they go missing. But when you have a high-profile general who, if he were to disappear, would expose serious national secrets potentially to an adversary, that prompts a larger kind of media attention. And from there, the press outlets discovered that a colleague of his had gone missing several months previously. And now we get to the place where we're at now, where I think the official number, I saw one that said 11 missing scientists, one that said 12. So it's unclear if there is a direct relationship between all of these, but the case that you're referring to is that of Amy Eskridge, who is a researcher from Huntsville, Alabama. A lot of people aren't familiar with Huntsville, but it is an interesting city as far as its history. You had Project Paperclip, where we took a bunch of Nazi scientists out from Germany and we had them work on the Saturn V rocket program there. So it's called Rocket City for that reason, and it is where DARPA, NASA recruit from the University of Alabama, Huntsville, which Amy Eskridge herself attended. Now, when I had first gone down to Huntsville, I was doing my own project. I wanted to make a documentary about some of the anti-gravitic research which has been rumored to take place in the city. And it was at that point that I learned about the passing of Amy Eskridge. Now, at that time, it was unclear if there had been sort of any foul play with that. Her father, who was a colleague of hers at her startup company, had said that there was no foul play. But the messages that I had sent to you really just surfaced in the last few days from a co-founder of hers at this research firm, basically finally mustering the courage to go public and say that she texted him multiple times, afraid for her life. She had been threatened for many months. Previously, she had suffered what she described as radiation burns from directed energy weapons. And indeed, I have spoken to others in the larger Huntsville area who are serious scientists, some of them, astrophysicists, who claim that this is not an uncommon occurrence, that other scientists have claimed to be targeted with directed energy weapons. There's some mysterious truck in their driveway, and all of a sudden they've got a splitting headache or they've got burns on their hands. So this is all very startling stuff.
What's interesting about that is, of course, directed energy weapons against members of the State Department have been claiming the similar injuries now going back years. They call it the Havana syndrome, I think.
Yeah. So, which I guess we don't deny that that's a real thing now. I'm sort of unclear, but and if you look at the resumes of some of these missing scientists, including General McCaslin, who I mentioned earlier, he would have overseen directed energy research at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So that is another interesting kind of through line there. And I don't believe he's the only one of the 11 that was involved in directed energy weapon research. But certainly the fact that this is being done on U.S. soil, that some of these cases haven't really drawn the attention of major law enforcement agencies is very troubling.
Now, the first time and the last time you and I had a conversation together was because you wrote a Crisis Magazine article, and it was about UFO, UAP research, and aliens or demons. That's my position. Aliens. I believe this is a demonic, a diabolical manipulation of people at the highest levels in our government, who are lusting for power, technology, control that can, keep their agenda rolling forward. That's at least my 2 cents. That a nickel may get you nothing, but that's what it is. Is it the case, to your knowledge, all of these cases of these missing scientists, are they all working on UFO-related projects?
That does not seem to be the case. I think the vast majority of them are working on the JPL ones. One was working on asteroid detection. I think I saw another was, engaged in metals, like developing advanced aerospace metals, which some people claim has, a correlation to the UAP topic. The main sort of UAP, I guess, element to this entire story really rests on Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which is rumored to be the primary site where the government has housed crash materials from cases such as the Roswell crash and others. So General McCaslin would have had knowledge of that, being the director of special programs at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Additionally, there's the rock star Tom DeLonge of the band Blink-182, and what people have pointed out is when John Podesta's emails were leaked and posted on WikiLeaks, there is an email correspondence between Tom DeLonge and John Podesta, where Tom DeLonge effectively says, I'm connected with General McCaslin, and he's working as a consultant for UFO research on my team. So There is a direct relationship there between General McCaslin and this topic. It's something even his wife has since acknowledged after he went missing.
So is this foreign? Is this a foreign government doing this? I mean, the only other time I see scientists go missing or dead is usually when Israel kills them in Iran. I mean, generally that's the only headline that involved mysterious deaths of scientists. Now we're seeing it in the United States. Are we talking about a foreign country here?
Well, so in the case of Amy Eskridge, I wouldn't rule that out. Certainly, Huntsville is a hotspot of foreign intelligence activity, and it's so much so that they have an FBI headquarters in Huntsville just to manage the amount of incidents that they have of documents being taken out of the Redstone Arsenal there. So it's a serious problem. I will say, with respect to the Eskridge case, we've since had a Congress member actually speak on this who was provided information about the circumstances of her death. And he has said, as of 2 days ago, that she was likely murdered by a U.S. aerospace company with a directed energy weapon. That's a significant thing to say for a sitting representative.
Why would a U.S.-based aerospace company want to murder anybody?
Well, if you look at the mission objectives of Amy Eskridge's Institute for Exotic Science in Huntsville, this is what she'd started with that colleague I told you about. Their stated objective was basically to privatize anti-gravitic research. They wanted to develop their own novel propulsion technology. Amy herself had expressed that several researchers had tried, but the government would always come and crush it. So I think the reality is that while you are dealing with, foreign elements embedding themselves within aerospace companies, you're also dealing with aerospace companies that want a larger piece of the pie. And we see that in cases going back with TRW, with Boeing. All of the major aerospace companies at one point or another have been accused of serious corporate wrongdoing. I wouldn't put some of the things I've heard past them.
So we're seeing the good old-fashioned greed and power and control. I mean, at the end of the day, like, the more things change, the or they stay the same, it seems. Like man's fallen nature at the highest level.
Yeah, I don't really know how you deal with a problem this massive. I mean, when you have basically every senator that's been elected in Ohio receive large amounts of money from Lockheed Martin, who are involved at, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, when you have conflicts of interest in the tens of millions, even billions of dollars, sponsoring wars and all that other stuff, I think it's a problem that's no one politician can solve.
So I guess it was fairly recently, maybe as soon as last week, and maybe perhaps when the White House is basically making statements that they're acknowledging this and they're going to pull out all the stops to research or investigate all of these things. How is it possible they really weren't tracking this before? You have top secret classified projects that these scientists are all working on, showing up dead or missing, and they're just now catching on? That seems weird.
Yeah, certainly. I think the Trump administration has clearly indicated that they want to, maybe win back some points with their disaffected base. And when you have a press stir of this story, kind of really putting it on the front page, that will warrant a response from the executive branch. And I think certainly they've probably known about some of these things. But I would suggest that these cases are individual and nobody's really connected them in such a way before. As I said, losing a scientist in the woods on a hike is not particularly unusual. That can happen to anybody, but this is the first time where we've really seen it kind of constructed into this larger narrative. But even as Trump has said, he doesn't really think there's a grand conspiracy behind all of these, and I would be inclined to agree with that. I'm particularly interested in examples where because the nature of these people's work is that they're not going to be public about their personal lives, their mental health. Most of them work with security clearances, so they can't have social medias. Amy Eskridge is one notable exception to that. She publicly engaged online. She recorded YouTube videos where she described being harassed, etc. And then those text messages, which I sent you. So that's one example where we can say something very fishy is happening here, and that deserves a further investigation.
The father of lies, stirring the pot in this world. Pray for all these scientists and for their families. Good grief. Hey, Aaron, I really appreciate you being on the team today. Aaron McAfee. We're going to put a link to his X feed. He wrote a book, by the way, AaronMcAfee.com. You can find it there, linked up as well. But his articles on Crisis Magazine, I've enjoyed. Aaron, we'll see you soon. God bless you. Coming up, let's talk about Pope Francis, the most disastrous pontificate. So much to remember. We'll be back in 2.
Ask a Priest Live, weekdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, is your chance to get answers to all of your questions about the Catholic faith. Featuring priests from the Priestly Fraternity of St. Peter, the Institute of Christ the King Sovereign Priest, the Franciscan Friars of the Immaculate, and various dioceses around the United States. Again, that's Ask a Priest Live, weekdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you from the Station of the Cross Catholic Media Network and the iCatholic Radio mobile app.
This is Jesuit Father Robert McTague. If you ever wanted to ask me a question directly, now's your chance. When you support the Station of the Cross at just $1 a day, you'll receive exclusive access to Straight Answers with Father McTague. Each month we'll gather for private live video chat where I'll take your questions and we'll dive deeper into the truths of the Catholic faith together in real time. To learn more, visit thestationofthecross.com.
At the Station of the Cross, we understand that life circumstances can affect your giving options, whether by moving or by switching banks and credit card numbers. Please let us know if recent changes have been made to your payment information so that we can better serve you as you continue to bless us with your financial support. Update your information today at thestationofthecross.com or by calling 1-877-888-6279, extension 104.
The Adoration Sodality of the Poor Clares of Perpetual Adoration at the Shrine of the Most Blessed Sacrament in Hanceville, Alabama, is a prayer group for laity, priests, and religious brothers and sisters to spiritually join in the nuns' mission of adoring our Lord Jesus Christ in the Holy Eucharist. members commit themselves to an hour of Eucharistic adoration on a monthly, weekly, or daily basis at a monstrance or tabernacle at the parish of their choice. Learn more about becoming a member at iadorethee.com.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClane. Praise be to God. Do you remember the bad old days of the Francis Pontificate? I sure do. I think many of us do. And many, as I recall, those great old days, every time we would bring something up that seemed tragic, crazy, like he's embracing heterodox ideas, we'd bring them up. And then, of course, I'd be told that I'm, an anti-Catholic. I'd be told that you can never doubt or question anything the Pope ever says or does. The hyper-papalism was off the Richter scale in those days. Well, Usti Press has published a book, The Disastrous Pontificate, Truth in Advertising. I've not read the book, but I have looked at it briefly. And there's a great article. I'm going to link to both the book and the article by Edward Penton in the show notes for you today. Pope Francis's turbulent pontificate under the microscope. Here to join us to talk about it is Dr. Peter Kwasniewski. Good afternoon to you, Dr. Kwasniewski. Appreciate your time. Thank you for being out.
Yeah, good afternoon to you, Joe. Always a pleasure.
Praise be to God. I hesitate because I've got a little bit of PTSD when it comes to the Francis Pontificate. But nonetheless, I think it is important to remember just how bad it actually was. And perhaps maybe you could start with that. Why should we do it? And why should we do it so soon after the pontificate? Perhaps should we wait 10 years? Like, can we have a break, take a deep breath, come back and revisit all this in 10 years? Why now?
Yeah, no, I think the reason for not waiting. So first of all, let's define what it is we're talking about. We're talking about a book, which, I mean, as you can see, is a pretty substantial tome. This is almost 1,000 pages. It has 3,441 entries in it that follow the teaching and actions of Pope Francis from day one to the end. And they analyze it from the point of view of theology. What did he teach? How does it compare to what Scripture and the Church Fathers and the councils and the other popes have taught? And what did he do? What were his actions? Who did he promote? Who did he protect? Who did he not take action against? Who was proved to be a criminal, etc.? So it's looking at acts and teachings together. And what we come up with is something very disturbing. It's a very coherent picture over the 12 years of the pontificate. Coherent in the sense of there's a definite vision of anthropology, of theology, of ecclesiology that he is advancing, although he does it in complicated ways, in confusing ways. But when you see it laid out in front of you, you see the patterns emerge. You see, oh, this point connects with this point, connects with this point. And Dominic Grigio, and this is not a book that I wrote, this is a book that was researched and compiled by Dominic Grigio. We can talk about him a little bit if you want to later. But when he put it together so carefully, you can see suddenly the picture emerging. It's not as chaotic and confusing as it was when we were actually living day to day under Francis, because now you can calmly sit down and see, yes, these points actually do connect with each other. So then why should we do this now as opposed to waiting? The problem is what a pope does sets a precedent in the church, right? And normally that's fine. I mean, just like normally the Supreme Court sets a precedent and we roll with that and we make use of that. But there can be, the Dred Scott decision, there can be Roe v. Wade, right? There can be bad decisions. And then we need to work against those decisions and not let them harden into, immovable precedents, right? And with the papacy, it's even more dangerous because if you say, well, Francis, okay, he taught these things, we'll revisit them in 5 or 10 years. Well, what happens in 5 or 10 years? I mean, already the situation has moved on, and now everybody's footnoting Amoris Laetitia and Fiducia Supplicans and Dignitatis Infinita and the death penalty change and this, all these things, right? So no, there's no time There's no time to waste. And I would only just finally add that all during his pontificate, people were speaking up and were speaking out against the errors and against the crimes. There were many public statements. I signed a number of them. I didn't sign all of them, but I signed many of them. There were famous theologians like Aidan Nichols and Father Thomas Weinandy. There were people speaking out. It's not like we waited until he was in the tomb and then we published this book. No, this is just the culmination of many years of research and really many years of spiritual anguish on the part of the faithful.
Yeah, I mean, it changed my career permanently. The summer of 2018, the summer of Shane McCarrick, and the reality that Francis resurrected this guy, brought him out of the retirement in order to continue to devastate the innocent in the church. I mean, that was career changing for me. I could no longer just pretend as though everything was just fine, which puts us in a crazy era, really, to think about getting up every day and criticizing the Pope professionally as a broadcaster. I was like, this is stressful. I don't want to do this. But yet I felt like I had a responsibility to bring these things out. And then to be pushed back upon, because we had this whole debate raging from hyper-papalism. What did it mean to be faithful to the church, yet, you can criticize the Pope? I mean, so many Catholics, I would say a majority of Catholics, were led to believe that you're never allowed to criticize the Pope. It put us in an awkward position, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite true. The Catholic has a natural, or I would even say supernatural, disposition to respect the Pope, to venerate the Pope, as we should for all of our fathers in Christ. Every priest, every bishop, we should have respect for him. He is our father in Christ. He's been ordained. He's been given a certain mission. He's been empowered by Christ to perform his office. He's been given access to the graces of his office. And we don't have those things. We're not ordained. We don't have the graces of the office. And so we normally, our normal disposition is one of reverence and submission and receptivity, right? We want to say to a priest or a bishop or a pope, teach me, guide me, form me. The problem is that those of us who've been living long enough, I mean, I remember very distinctly John Paul II's pontificate. I was very active already as a philosopher and theologian. I read all of his documents, all of his books. Sure, I had difficulties with certain things, but I learned so much from John Paul II. Just take an example, Veritatis Splendor. That formed me as a moral theologian. My whole way of, I was receptive to that document. I let it completely shape and form my mind as I was supposed to do. And then along comes Francis teaching the opposite of what John Paul II was teaching on many, many points. And this is not something that can be debated. This is something obvious, right? It's obvious from this book, but it's obvious from 100 papers out there that have been written, in places like First Things magazine, it's not just my cranky, tratty opinion, right? And so because I let myself be formed by the popes, by Benedict XVI, who said about the traditional Latin Mass, what was sacred in past generations remains sacred and great today and cannot be forbidden or considered harmful, right? That I was formed by these popes. And therefore, unless I'm going to be schizophrenic, unless I'm just going to be some kind of weather vane that blows, whichever way it blows every time there's a new pope, I had to say, no, there's something wrong with this teaching from Francis that contradicts what Veritatis Splendor said, that contradicts what Summorum Pontificum bore witness to. And so this is the awkward position we're in. And I can see why there are people who even question whether Francis was a legitimate pope, because he was undermining his own office, and he was undermining the pure faith of Catholics. I do think he was the pope. I just think he was a disastrous pope.
That was the interesting part of that period of time, too. I was having conversations on Catholic radio that you would never find anywhere else on Catholic radio. I mean, we're EWTN affiliates, so like in the EWTN Catholic radio world, even relevant radio world, all these Catholic apostolates, radio apostolates would never dare have these conversations. and we were having them here because they were serious conversations that Catholics needed to consider seriously. And it was just such a weird time. It still kind of remains the after effects of that. I'll give you, I want to sort of bring up a couple of examples and get you to comment on about some of the big issues in his pontificate. Amoris Laetitia, Fiducia Supplicans, just to name a couple. And interestingly enough, on Friday, I published leaked audio of Father Jimmy Martin of the Jesuits fame just the other night. I mean, literally like Thursday night, he gave a talk in Buffalo, New York, and he was taking Q&A, essentially leveraging these documents to take the ball and run with heterodoxy. And this is what I want you to sort of weigh in on. It was my theory, Dr. Kwasniewski, that Francis was not dumb. And so he knew that there was a fine line between heterodoxy and orthodoxy. And he knew that as the Pope, he couldn't cross that line officially. But it's my theory that he rode that line as fine as he possibly could ride it, knowing that there'd be plenty of people like Father Jimmy Martin that would be happy to cross it into heterodoxy all day long. And the vast majority of Catholics wouldn't know the difference, and they would just accept it. Oh, is that we're not teaching purgatory anymore. We don't got to go to confession anymore. We could just do it. Like they're not teaching these things anymore. Now it's okay to be gay and active and all this other stuff. I believe that he was trying to get others to cross the heterodox line. Do you think he officially crossed it himself?
Yeah, no, I mean, certainly a lot of what he did during his pontificate would fit the description that you just gave. Another way of putting it is to say that there were times when Francis enunciated the premises of an argument, but not the conclusion, right? So in other words, here is, if you've got a syllogism, right? Your classic syllogism has a major premise and a minor premise, and then a conclusion that logically follows from those two premises. Well, Francis would state one of the premises, maybe both of the premises, but not draw the conclusion, and know that smart people like Jesuits would draw the conclusion, right? However, unfortunately, tragically, I think that Francis did cross the line, and I think this book, really brings the receipts for that. On a matter such as the death penalty, it is absolutely clear that he trespassed against the unanimous tradition of the church and against scripture. And the reason is, people have become so preoccupied with his change to the catechism, they become fixated on this word inadmissible, right? Which is itself a fishy word because nobody's ever used this word in a moral theological context, right? It's a word that was coined to be confusing, right? Is he saying it's immoral, or is he saying it's just not prudent? Like, what does inadmissible mean? Okay. But if you look at the sources that this is embarrassing, but the only source he quotes for the new number in the catechism on the death penalty is a speech that he gave. It's what I call, it's like the magisterium of me. He's the only one he can cite because nobody else said this before. And if you go back to his speech that he cites, he says there something much stronger than inadmissible. He says that the death penalty is per se in itself contrary to the gospel and contrary to human dignity. Well, I'm sorry, but if something is per se contrary to the gospel and human dignity, that means it's an intrinsic evil. It's immoral, universally, always and everywhere. It was never right. It can never be right. That's what we mean by something that's intrinsically evil, like adultery or abortion, right? In that moment, he steps over the line. That is a heretical proposition. Nobody has ever taught that. In fact, everybody has always taught the opposite, which is in the right circumstances, the death penalty is legitimate. It's moral. It can even be virtuous for a country or let's just say a nation to administer that death penalty. So I think that there are examples, and there are other examples too, where we could say he actually really did go over the line.
Really did go over the line. Hold that thought. Dr. Peter Kwasniewski is our guest. We're talking about the book, The Disastrous Pontificate, Pope Francis's rupture from the magisterium. I'm going to be linking to the book as well as to an article, a conversation with Dr. Kwasniewski and Edward Penton from Edward Penton Substack. And in that article, it says Griggio's book does everyone a favor It provides an accessible, matter-of-fact record of Francis's words and deeds with 3,441 references in order to render transparent his abuse of his teaching authority. Let's talk about that and what was his greatest offense in 2 minutes from now. Don't go anywhere. Be right back.
Catholic radio has just been a lifesaver for me. I still listen to it every day. I start my day with it. I listen to it all day long as much as I can. I am very grateful for it.
It's just an amazing thing to have as I am new to Catholicism. Obviously, it's not only helping me, but it's helping so many other people on their walk.
Thank you. God bless you for iCatholic Radio. It has changed my life.
Donate today at thestationofthecross.com.
The Station of the Cross Catholic Media Network is dedicated to answering the critical need of access to quality, consistent, professional, and proven Catholic programming. We cannot rely on other media outlets to properly represent our church. Catholic radio reaches Catholics, non-Catholic Christians, and non-believers alike. As a nonprofit lay organization financially independent of your diocese, our apostolate is listener-supported.
At the Station of the Cross Catholic Media Network, we proudly bring the truths of the Catholic faith to countless listeners through radio and mobile devices. Hear how our listeners have been impacted.
I have been listening to the Station of the Cross for a couple of years now, quite a few years actually, and I want to say that I am very grateful for it definitely playing a part in bringing me back to the love of Christ, and especially Father Robert McKee. Really appreciate his show every day, and everybody's really good, and I love Women of Grace, and of course Mother Angelica when we can hear that. And just want to say thanks so much for keeping me company all day, keeping me holy, helping me to stay holy. Definitely grateful.
If you've been blessed by listening to the Station of the Cross, please let us know. Call 1-877-888-6279 extension 112 and share your testimonial with us.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClane. Praise be to God. Dr. Peter Kwasniewski is our guest. He's got a book out from his press, Os Usti Press. That's osustipress.com. We'll put a link to it in the show notes. You can also find it on Amazon if you like, so it's super easy to find. But the Disastrous Pontificate, Pope Francis's Rupture from the Magisterium by Dominic Grigio. And Dr. Kwasniewski, welcome back. Now let me ask you real quick about the author of this. It's not his real name. So who wrote this book and why aren't they going by their real name?
Sure. So this book was written by a cleric, by an ordained man. He wrote it. His bishop knows that he wrote this book and did not object to it being published in itself, but he did say, I don't want you to use your name because this is too controversial. We don't want all of the attention focused on our diocese. This is, in fact, your book just needs to get out there for the record. So I mean, really, I think this cleric was being humble by going along with that advice.
Wow. But
also, I mean, I'm just going to be honest about it. This cleric has suffered persecution in the church. He has been the object of attacks of various kinds. Of threats. I mean, I can't go into details because I don't want to give any revealing information. But sure. I mean, he's trying to protect his vocation. He's trying to protect his status as a cleric. You know.
Can I just say, I'm I guess as the kids would say today, low key proud of the bishop for still letting him move forward, even under a fake name. I mean, because how many bishops during the 13-year reign of Francis pretended as though there was nothing wrong, turned their cheek on all of these dramatic major issues and just acted as though everything was fine when quite the opposite was true. So at least this bishop is like, the information needs to get out there. I'm kind of proud of him for that.
Yeah, that's right. I am too. And I would say that, Joe, that to my mind, one of the greatest problems in the church today is the environment out there in the hierarchy is so much more toxic than lay people are aware in general. What I'm referring to is the atmosphere of fear and reprisal and blackmail and threats. I mean, I know a lot of bishops, actually. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying I do know bishops. And many of these bishops are very conservative. They love the tradition. They love the traditional mass oftentimes. They know that there were huge problems with Francis' pontificate. They know that things have to change, but they won't speak up about it because, right. And again, you could say these bishops are cowardly. I don't know. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. Maybe they're just trying to be prudent and read, assess the situation, read the room, as it were. But they would, in fact, be Stricklanded if they spoke up. I mean, they would be. They would just become more carnage, more episcopal. They'd be more retired bishops out there. And so, you see this among the bishops. There are many who understand that there are the problems with Traditionis Custodes, with Amoris Laetitia, but they don't speak up. Similarly with priests, right? A lot of priests understand the problems. They won't preach about those problems. They'll talk to you one-on-one about those problems if they trust you, right? But this is such an unhealthy atmosphere in the church, right? We are supposed to be a city on a hill, a light that shines. We're supposed to be telling the truth, as St. Paul says, telling the truth in charity, doing the truth in charity, right? And yet there's this secrecy. All the Orthodox people are sort of barely willing to speak up because they'll get clobbered, right? I mean, exactly. If you want one among many examples of why it's true to say the church is in a state of crisis, that would be one of them.
Okay, so out of all the issues, Amoris Laetitia, I tell this story on occasion, but I went to a Jesuit retreat, a quasi-silent retreat at a Jesuit facility north of Dallas. And when I went to confession, Father gave me as part of my penance to read Amoris Laetitia, especially the footnote. He really wanted me to know that famous footnote. So Amoris Laetitia, communion for divorced and remarried, fiducia supplicans, blessing of same-sex couples or couples in irregular situations. Of course, Traditionis Custodes still is the gift that keeps on giving today. And there are many others. But what would you say was the worst offense? You mentioned the death penalty before in the last segment. What's the worst offense of Pope Francis?
It's very difficult to say because there are so many. I mean, this book, the Disastrous Pontificate, takes up, I believe, 17 major errors. And I've reflected on what exactly is there a thread that connects all of them, and I haven't yet seen if there's a single thread. I haven't yet perceived that level of connection. But what I did say to Ed Penton in the interview that you're going to link is that Francis's fundamental rupture from the magisterium was his elevation of personal subjective experience above the objective truths of divine revelation. So personal subjective experience and that sort of 1960s, 1970s concept of conscience as originative of truth against the objective truths of divine revelation. And you see this in 3 documents. You see it in Amoris Laetitia, in Fiducia Supplicans, and in Dignitas Infinita. So at least the idea that, some couples objectively in a state of adultery, they can know that they're in that state, but they feel powerless to live according to the teaching of the church. And their conscience, bids them to continue to live in the adulterous union as if they'll live more Christian lives in that manner. And therefore they, as it were, can be blessed by the church. They've done their best. They can go on to receive the Eucharist without ceasing to practice the adulterous relationship, right? That business in Amoris Laetitia is linked to Fiducia Supplicans, right? It doesn't matter what the disorder in the couple's relationship is from an objective point of view, as long as they sincerely request a blessing, the church is to give them this blessing. As individuals, I mean, it's so contorted. As you said before, he's trying to stretch the boundaries, kind of stretch the Overton window, as people say. And with Dignitas Infinita, the downplaying of original sin and its wounds, that man has a sort of inviolable dignity, no matter what profoundly evil acts he commits. This, of course, is connected with the abolition of the death penalty. So I'm not trying I don't think I can give you a full picture of this error, but it seems to me that this is a kind of primordial error about setting up the personal subjective experience of modern people, whether they're in irregular marriages, whether they're homosexual, whether they're capital criminals, whatever they might be, somehow their dignity allows them to bypass or defy the law of God. They become, in a sense, the judge of it rather than being judged by it, right? And this is very pernicious. I mean, this is what Joseph Seifert called a moral atomic bomb. Right?
Wow, we're down to like the last minute here. So I want to ask you about Pope Leo at this point. Then he's brought more calm back to the papacy as a nod towards what we feel is more traditional, where the jury's still out on whether or not he will reverse some of the Francis pontificate. He still uses and throws around, some of the same slang as Francis. Francis elevated him to the cardinal position. So what is your opinion of Leo? Will he correct these errors?
Yeah, Leo moves very slowly, very deliberately. Obviously he's done things that we would disagree with, and he's done some things that we would agree with. He's not Francis 2.0. He's much more. He's much more intelligent and much more sophisticated. That, of course, could cut both ways, right? That is, he could find ways to keep Francis's trajectory going that seem less objectionable, that seem more somehow palatable. But he could also be trying, and I think this is perhaps a vain attempt, but he could be trying to gently change the direction away from some of Francis's worst errors and worst actions, so that there isn't a kind of jarring and sudden contrast between him and his predecessor. And you can see why a pope might think that it's better not to have constant reversals happening every time a new pope is elected.
We're out of time.
I certainly wish that
out of time. Dr. Kwasniewski, God bless you. God love you. Thank you for hanging out with us today. osustipress.com, the Disastrous Pontificate. We'll link to it in the show notes. God love you and God bless you. So what did you think of today's show? Let's discuss that right now in the after show. Your take on the after take. Comment, interact live with me and the team. All you need to do is search for one of our live video feeds on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, LinkedIn, and elsewhere. Simply search for the Station of the Cross, Joe McClane, or A Catholic Take. I'm looking forward to seeing you and interacting with you directly. It all starts right now. It's the after show.
Welcome back for the after show.
Praise be to God in all things. Good afternoon. Hey, JD5504, God bless you. Thanks for joining the team, the Insider crew. We really appreciate you. Thank you for doing that. This looks like a book you'd want to get if you need like a reference. If you're still having debates with your friends, your family members, your fellow parishioners, if there's still like a pope-splainer out there and you're getting into debates, like this is the book you want to have on your shelf. It's like a resource guide, a reference. It has all of the receipts in the conversation, and you could, pull it off your shelf, go to it. And so I would encourage you to check it out, osustipress.com. But again, it's also on Amazon. You can find it. Just look for The Disastrous Pope. And then if you want a summary, you want to check out the Edward Penton article. It looks really, really good. I went through that, and I do recommend it. But Diane, good afternoon. Praise be to God. Thanks for hanging out with us. Do appreciate you. I don't think Pope Leo is any different in his views than Francis. He is just better with the language. I think the jury's still out on that. I'm not not convinced of that anymore. I think I used to feel that way. I certainly did. But I don't know that he is that. I have a feeling Leo could surprise us. Like, I've said this so many times, but as a guy who was the product of the 80s and 90s, 70s, 80s, 90s, I would expect him to be like, "Kumbaya, my Lord. Let's push the boundaries of theology and philosophy. Let's experiment with all these other philosophies and religions. Let's, go to the Pachamama thing. And I expect that from that era. Totally expect it. The fact that he's doing anything opposite to that is unexpected to me. He may just surprise us, or he may not. I don't know. I certainly have no crystal ball, and I have no insider baseball. So I certainly want him to surprise us. I certainly want him to exceed expectation. But we'll see. It's on him to do so. It's on him. Hey, Christine OFS, praise be to God. Glad you're on the team. Thanks for being a member of the channel. Marge, 62. And by the way, I did. So who was asking me before? Somebody was asking me for a cigar mode. It says we need an official pronunciation of Dr. K's last name. Can he educate us? I didn't ask the question because I wanted to spend the time with him to talk about the subject. But when I was hanging out with Dr. K at a private gathering in Tennessee, not this past year before, I asked him the question. He said, Dr. Kwasniewski. Kwasniewski. So that is the official response. Dr. Kwasniewski. Very Polish. Honey West, good afternoon to you. Question of the day, Joe. Can you say your guest name 10 times fast? Kwasniewski, 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 Kwasniewski. Nailed it.
Well done.
You heard it here first. Can somebody cut that out and make that like a meme of some kind? That'd be great. Glad you're on the team, Honey West 25. Speaking of Pope Francis, the event where St. Peter's statue being struck by lightning on his birthday in his hometown, where St. Peter's halo and keys were destroyed, always kind of freaked me out. Yeah, that was pretty something, wasn't it? The statue of St. Peter getting the keys knocked off by lightning, kind of ominous, can we say, at the very least? By the way, I also published today. I cut out the conversation. Yeah, James, you were out Friday, but the audience got like a 2-for-1 special. They didn't have you on the team, and they didn't have me on the team either. And I think they loved it, to be honest.
That sounds enjoyable to me. I
think they have. The audience has decided that this show is better when you and I aren't part of it. That's kind of how I'm interpreting that.
I mean, I've been telling you that about myself since I took the show over, so old news to me.
So I cut out. So we had Mike Hitchborn filling in for me on Friday. Daniel was filling in for you. Mike Hitchborn was filling in for me, and Dr. Anthony Stein was the guest on Friday. Mike McCormick was also on the show. And so that did very well. And so I cut out the conversation they had and uploaded that as a video all by itself. And I published that earlier today. But they had a conversation about the Vatican's investigation into Benedict XVI's resignation. And so the deeper dive on that subject, which was utterly fascinating. And I think it leaks into the conversation we just had with Dr. Kwasniewski. The Vatican is investigating the outside influence, outside pressures to pressure Benedict to retire. Because that would make his resignation invalid. And so one of the big questions that Mike Hitchborn asks Dr. Stein is, what are the implications of an invalid resignation? Well, that would mean all of the cardinals that Francis elevated would not be legit. How does that affect the conclave that elected Prevost? Well, Prevost was one of the bishops. He was made a bishop by Francis and then elevated to cardinal, and then, of course, elected Leo XIV. If the resignation was not valid, kind of makes Francis an anti-pope. What does that do to the bishops he elevated, like Prevost, for instance? Gets super complicated super fast. So anyway, if you want more on that, you can check out that video. We posted it earlier. And if you haven't listened to the leaked audio of Father Jimmy Martin just last Thursday night, basically saying that Fiducia Supplicans normalize same-sex activity. That's where we're at. That's where we're at in the church today. Good times. Huskers in Royals gal. You've renamed yourself. Female Casey Royals fan from Nebraska has now gone with a different name that I have to memorize. Huskers in Royals gal. Good afternoon. It says, it's not like I'm giving out my address and people have assumed I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. Is that why you renamed yourself? Because you were worried about being doxxed? How do you think I feel every day? Good grief. How do you think my wife feels about what I do? She's incredibly concerned because of the nature of my job. Ingles contra mundi, praise be to God. Thanks for being on the team today. Really appreciate you. Christine OFS says, it takes a super thick book to write on the Disastrous Pontificate of Jorge Bergoglio. God bless both the bishop that allowed and the cleric to write this book for the sake of the Catholic Church. Exactly. I'm really surprised that the bishop, gave his blessing to the priest to proceed with this, even under a pseudonym. I would love to know who the bishop was. Of course, I know why they're not telling us because, safety. But Dave's June 93 is back. Praise be to God. Welcome and good afternoon. Thanks for being on the team today. Cigar mode, of course. Just up already. Laughing pretty hard, Joe. Amazing, worthless talents of Gen X. Say it 10 times. Amazing, worthless talents of Gen X. Are you kidding me? Gen X is the greatest generation ever. There's never going to be another generation like Gen X. Ever. Gen Xers. We got home from school. We had the house to ourselves. Nobody to tell us what to do and how to do it and when to do it. Are you kidding? The latchkey generation. From sun up to sundown, all summer long, gone. All across town on our bikes, our skateboards. Nobody to tell us what to eat and, what not to eat. Wear a helmet. What helmet? We have no helmets. There were no helmets. Good grief. You know how many times I'd end up in the ER because I loved skateboarding back in those days? Forget it. Break bones. It didn't matter. We just kept cruising. Evil Knievel. Like he was the only guy who wore a helmet, not us. CNU10, good afternoon to you. Thanks for being on the team. Thanks for being a member of the channel. Says, to be fair, I saw a statue of Israel's God, Satan, and smash it and admit to it. What they did. If I saw a statue, okay, I missed part of the conversation. I'm trying to understand who saw the LifeSite article about the IDF admitting a photo of Israeli soldier smashing a statue of our Lord is real. Yeah, I reported that story in the news side of the radio show. It is in fact true. The IDF did admit that the soldier did smash the statue of the crucifix. Now, they said there was an investigation. Bibi Netanyahu came out against it. But frankly, I don't want to let him off that easy. Because this is not an isolated event. I mean, frankly, maybe it's a competition between the Israeli soldiers and the Muslims on who can destroy more Christian iconography and statuary. Perhaps they're competing against each other for who can try to offend, blaspheme, create sacrilege, and destroy Christianity faster and more fervently. The Israelis or the Muslims. It's hard to tell which. It's a close race. Let's just put it that way. Banana seat bikes. Thank you, Junior Holy Roman. Who remembers? Did you ever have a banana seat bike, James?
I did not, no.
You've missed out on life, man.
We've established this already. I was born too late.
Yeah, you need banana seat bikes to be cool, honestly. Banana seat bikes and the flag that was attached to the back of the bike.
Like a little bell that I can ring on the handle, maybe?
Man, when I was a kid, every year when I was a kid, back in my day, at the Stall Elementary School, where I was a student, I lived at 14911 Guernsey Street. Somebody street Google that, see if it still exists. It does. I know it does. But 14911 Guernsey Street, where I lived, I would ride my bike to school every day, and every year we had a bike rodeo. And so the school would host a competition. And all the kids would bring their bikes to school. And they would judge your bike, and then you would have to ride a little obstacle course. But all the we were dirt broke. That's why we lived at 14911 Guernsey Street. It was a rental. And listen, if we kept the electricity on, we were feeling pretty good about it, And I couldn't afford a bike, so my mom's boss's sons. My mom was a hairdresser at the time, and her boss, who owned the salon or the business, her sons built me a bike out of spare parts and gave it to me. It was an incredible gift. I love the bike. It was amazing. But it was kind of a Frankenstein bike. And so every year at the bike rodeo at school, you were judged based on whether or not your bike had reflectors, did it have a headlamp, did it have pads on the crossbars so that you didn't hurt yourself. It had to have all this equipment on it. My bike had none of that stuff. So I remember we duct taped a flashlight to the crossbar that had no pad on it, no reflectors, none of that stuff. Needless to say, I never won the competitions, ever. Ever, ever, ever. To this day, I still don't have a headlamp on my bike. Now that I can afford one, I still don't have. I should go buy one. That's what I should do. Christine says, Joe, 2 parts. Catholics for Catholics 1 hour ago, just in. A statement signed by Cardinal Pier Battista Pizzaballa, the Assembly of the Catholic Ordinary to the Holy Land. I mentioned in my article, and when I reported on this in the radio side of the show today, I mentioned that Cardinal Pizzaballa condemned this. Number 2, by the IDF on Christians are not isolated incidents, but many. Exactly. In fact, I also retweeted. Where is it? Let's go here. Here you go. Can you bring this up? You think this Israeli smashing Jesus statues is an isolated incident? It is not. I retweeted this a while ago. Christians are horribly treated in the Holy Land. They're spat upon. They're attacked. Iconography, statuary attacked. It's pretty common practice, actually, over there. Something I've talked about a number of times. And anytime I do, I'm told I'm anti-Semitic. And, we had somebody who for a few months, actually, this past year, did their level best to get me fired. I'm not going to say that was producer James.
I knew that was coming.
I can't say for sure that it was producer James, but what I can say is producer James and the person who wanted me fired have never been seen in the same room at the same time. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Are you saying it's Jake?
That's funny, actually. But no.
I'm just connecting the dots is all.
All kidding aside, this person did harass my boss for months in an attempt to get me removed from the apostolate at Station Cross. And to my boss's credit, he held the line. Praise be to Jesus. I work for an amazing apostolate. I love my coworkers. I love my organization. They courageously allow me to have conversations that literally aren't had anywhere else in Catholic radio. And anyway, part of my boss's response to that person who was trying to have me fired a lot was I gave him links to a lot of these conversations that we're having. And I'm like, I interviewed a U.S. State Department employee who lived in the Holy Land. And I asked him, well, what was your experience while you lived there? This wasn't somebody who was a sold out Catholic or anything like that. They're just a U.S. government employee, federal government employee who worked at the Jerusalem location. And what was your experience of how we were treated over there? And he gave his experience. I've interviewed people who, like Jason Jones, who have had employees killed by IDF forces while trying to feed displaced peoples over there. I've had lots of conversations from various subject matter experts, people who have legit experience and expertise and credentials. And generally speaking, all of them are like ignored. Nope, we can't accept that. You're just not allowed to have the conversation. So I put an entire playlist together. I've got a whole playlist on Christian Zionism of all of those conversations. You're welcome to see it there. Christian Zionism. You can find it linked up. But the reality is, this is not new. This isn't an isolated incident. And furthermore, the Muslims are happy to provide competition to see who can be the most destructive, the most blasphemous, the most sacrilegious. God help them all, because in the end, God will not be mocked and nobody gets away with it. Pray for their souls, because that's what we're called to do, is pray for their souls. And in the end, there is but one flock. Who remembers the electric company Magic Garden new zoo review? Not me. I certainly don't remember that. Infinity, good afternoon. Brian K. Cigar Mode says, anyone who knows these folks in Virginia, make sure they vote in their huge referendum tomorrow on redistricting vote put up by the governor of Virginia. Christine says, this is what makes your show so great, Joe. Thank you, your boss. Thank you to your boss for your courage keeping us informed in the truth. Yeah, praise be to Jesus. Honestly, I'm very proud of my boss for being in such a difficult position and supporting me. Certainly wasn't happening in my previous radio poslet, I can tell you that for sure. Hey, Nicholas Williams. Joe, did you see the IDF soldier breaking his... Yes, I did. I saw it. Yes, I've been talking about it. Yes, 100%. I mentioned it. I brought it up. I reported on it. By the way, Nicholas, were you making fun of me earlier? Like was that some is that some sort of youth slang or something?
It is, yes.
What does it mean? Joe, you're such an unk. We should get you a mug with certified unk on it. What is that? I need you to interpret
Just
that.
Like a cool older guy, I guess.
Oh.
That's how I would describe it. And just like that, he loses the title. You had it
Makes
until
sense.
the music and the dance, and there's that.
Seems so reasonable, though. Praise be to God for it, though. Thank you, Nicholas, for the compliment. I do appreciate it, even if I don't know what it means. Hey, Rebecca, God bless you. Thanks for being on with us. I do appreciate you. Praise be to Jesus. Honey West, Joe, here's the video for you from Israel, where the speaker gives the statistics on attacks on Christians in the Holy Land by Jews. Probably crazy, isn't it? You know, I've always wanted to go to the Holy Land and never been. I pray someday I get to go. But I'm also, on the other hand, I'm like pretty sure that if I ever get to go, I'm probably going to get stopped at the airport and harassed and probably interrogated for a good long time. I mean, who knows? At this point, with social media being what it is, I probably have zero chance of ever getting in. God's will be done in all things. A Jewish reporter pointing out the crazies of his own country. Is that what you're suggesting? I'll have to check that video out. Thanks for sending it to me. We live in interesting times. Easy, welcome back. Praise be to God. Glad you're on the team. Thanks for doing it. Robert Grasso. He remembers the new zoo review. How come I don't remember that? I don't know what it is. Check your email. Says hello. Your email for the Francis inspired meme. There's a Francis inspired meme. Oh, the dumpster fire. Hold on, I gotta pull it up. By the way, what'd you do on your vacation, James? Did you go over the Niagara Falls in a barrel?
I did
What do you
not.
do?
I went down to Florida, Southwest Florida. Spent 8 days with my family, my aunt, uncle, a few of my cousins. Got to spend a lot of time at the beach, which is dangerous for me because I'm very pasty. But I did not burn, so that's an accomplishment.
Now, you're golden brown now. Look at you go.
All sorts of stuff. Kayaking, beach volleyball.
Wow.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I'm jealous. I didn't do anything that cool.
Realized I'm already washed up because I'm still sore from all of those activities.
Good to be back from vacation. Now you can actually rest.
It was 83 degrees when I left the airport, and it was 30 here when I landed and snowing. So I didn't exactly return to paradise.
Whoa. Did you say snow?
Yeah, it was snowing yesterday here again.
I'm supposed to be there next week. What do you mean snow? There's no snow.
It was snowing yesterday. You better hope for the best, buddy.
I'm getting ready to fly there. It's going to be late April. No snow.
It's a toasty 37 here today, but not snowing.
Is there snow on the ground?
No, thankfully not.
Do I have to rent like a 4x4 or something?
You might want to bring the sled dogs if you can hook that up on the plane, but just in case.
What am I getting into? I don't even know. By the way, this is the meme from Hallow334. Praise be to God, member of the channel. Really appreciate you. For Pope Francis's pontificate, pretty much a dumpster fire. A dumpster fire. How come that's not on screen? There we go. The dumpster fire. Yeah, that kind of summarizes it pretty well. You just need a little picture of Francis, like sticking his head up or something like that. That'd have been cool. By the way, so Rudy Carlos of Ask a Priest Live fame is coming next week with me. We're going to be there all week long. Next week is Fund Drive week. So yes, we are going to be asking for money. But the reason why we ask for money is because we need the money to do what we do. This isn't a volunteer organization. We have full-time professionals running the back end, like people like producer James. We have mortgages and food bills and electric bills and all this other stuff. It's a media outlet with, what do we have, 13 employees. We own several radio stations, affiliates across the country, video editing, all the rest. That takes cash, and we don't get any cash from the Vatican. We don't get any cash from the federal government. We don't get any cash from your local parish or your local diocese. It is the audience who provides for our needs. So we will be asking for money next week. But we're also going to have very interesting conversations. In fact, it's going to be Father McTagg, a great Jesuit, who's going to be on the team all next week. He and I are going to be going back and forth on current events, big issues, and all the rest. He is one of the most bravest Jesuit priests I know. 100%, hands down. Great guy. He's going to be hanging out with us all week. We're going to be live in studio. But Rudy Carlos is coming with me, and guess what we're going to do, James? Not only are we going to educate you on the increasingly, amazingly obvious benefits of honey mustard with buffalo wings, but in addition to that, so we're going to change the culture of buffalo, and we're going to do it in less than a week. But in addition to that, we're going to go to Canada. We're going to Canada.
What are we doing in Canada?
We're going to see the better part of the Niagara Falls from the Canadian side. I think it's probably what we're going to end up doing. But I don't know. There's got to be some sort of specialty food in Canada that we can get while we're there. That's the question.
Beaver tails.
Beaver tails.
According to Father Brancich, anyways.
Beaver tails from Canada, eh?
I have had beaver tails. They were pretty great.
And maybe, I don't know, as tourists, we could probably like ride a caribou or something. I don't know. Something.
Okay,
I mean, there's got to be, some, really over the top Canadian touristy thing to do. Ride a caribou while drinking maple syrup or something. I don't even know, but we're going to figure it out, and it's going to happen next week. So we've got a full plan. We're going to fish the Niagara Falls. The headwaters of the Niagara Falls, we're gonna Rudy Carlos and I are gonna put on the waders. We're gonna wade in above the Niagara Falls and fish. It's got to be the best fishing ever, probably right there, because nobody fishes there. So we're gonna do it.
There's a reason nobody fishes there, by the way, but
probably because you guys are hoarding all the greatest fish for yourselves. You're just waiting for the tourists to go away, and then all of a sudden all the local boys show up with their pasty skin, and they're just pulling out the big uns. Well, nah.
Okay.
We know what the deal is, so we're gonna just jump right in and take care of business.
You want to fish, you got to go back out on the boat like you did the last time you were here.
I wish. Are the boats out yet?
I don't know. Probably not. The last I knew, the lake was still largely frozen over. So
largely frozen over. Do people ride? At this point, they're not snowmobiling on it or driving their trucks out there.
No, it's too thin for that.
But yet, I bet every year someone's having to pull, like they go into the ice, don't they?
Oh, also,
Someone goes
yeah,
through.
you hear about stuff like that all the time.
All year, every year, yeah. Well, we'll see what trouble we get into, but Rudy, Carlos, and I expect to get into a lot of trouble. We're really hoping on it. Christine says, Joe, are you and Rudy coming to preach to Mark Carney to be bad Catholic? Who is a bad Catholic? Please help us. Hey, Christine OFS, we might not get much further than the border. I don't know if they're going to let us in the country, but we're going to try. We're going to try. French fries and gravy, says Hallow 334. Is that the Canadian touristy food? Is that what we can expect? Poutine?
It's all right. I've had it once, I believe, once or twice.
Okay.
It wasn't mind-blowing or anything, but I didn't mind it.
We'll see. Maybe Rudy and I will get matching maple leaf tattoos or something. I don't even know. Like, should we get them like right on our neck, right? Like big old Canadian maple leaf right there. It'd be.
I think you guys could rock it. By the way, is Rudy aware of all this going on, or is
don't tell him? It's a surprise.
Okay,
Don't tell him
I just
said this.
figured that might be the case.
Yeah.
Not to jump to any conclusions, but
not to jump to any conclusions. So we got to get buffalo wings. That's number one on the list.
Wegmans.
We got a Wegmans is like, I'm pretty sure we're gonna do the show from Wegmans next week. I'm
fine with it. I don't hate it.
And then we're gonna gotta go to Our Lady of Victory. I don't think he's ever been to Our Lady of Victory.
I don't know I don't think Rudy got to the Basilica when he was here.
So we're gonna cover that. I don't know how or when, but we're gonna figure it out. And then we got to get to Canada. So
he has had the wings, and he still talks about every once in a while, like every couple of months. I just get a text about wings from Rudy out of nowhere. No other context.
Yeah, well, the wings. I am looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the wings, especially you promised me really great wings, so we're gonna see. I mean, are they better than the wings from the Sheraton Hotel in Nashville, New Hampshire? I doubt it, but we'll see. I'm gonna have an open mind about it.
I like my chances, but we'll see.
You like your chances. Jane said, "At least, Joe, you're not a drunkle. Better to be an unk than a drunkle." Yeah, I'll take that. Nicholas says, the internet tells me it means an out-of-touch older guy is an unk. So he's calling me an out-of-touch older guy. Should Joe eat the blue cheese live? Nicholas, there's a straw poll going right now, and we'll see. So far, 100% of everybody who's voted over there says yes.
I definitely wasn't one of the votes, by the way.
The food in Niagara was good. Well, we're gonna go to the Canadian side, and we'll see how it all goes there. The question is, can you go to Canada and come back still heterosexual? That's the real question on my mind. I need to know. So I probably will grok that later just to see what the AIs tell me. But that'll be maybe go to the top of the tower. There's a restaurant up there, says Jane. So perhaps we go to the top of the Canadian tower, look out over down onto Buffalo, and enjoy a good, fine Canadian meal, and then maybe go look for a caribou ride or something along those. Like, do they have caribou like pull the carriage? Maybe they're like, you know how they have those like romantic carriage rides and such in some of these towns with a horse. Maybe it's caribou in Canada that they pull the carriage with for Rudy, Carlos, and I to take a nice romantic stroll with. I got awkward super fast. I didn't mean it that way. Hey, Giotto, welcome. Thanks for hanging out. Honeybees, praise be to God. Member of the channel. Really appreciate you. American side is better. Is the American side better? But
it has
Canadian side sees it better, don't they?
Better, like the surrounding area is better. Like downtown Niagara Falls on the American side is kind of a rough area in general, to be honest. But you're right up close to the edge of the falls. Now, if you go to the other side, it's a nicer area, and you get to see them from the front-facing side. So, yeah, I could see why people say that the Canadian side is better. It's a little sketchy on the American side, we'll say.
Yeah, there's some sketchy characters on the Niagara Falls American side. John Paul says, have you had brisket and rice in Houston? I so want to eat there, but not on a Friday.
Rudy told me he's bringing me Texas barbecue. I don't know how that's going to work on the plane, but supposedly that's happening.
Texas barbecue is the best barbecue you're ever going to have.
I've only had St. Louis, so we'll see.
What do they know about barbecue in St. Louis?
It was phenomenal, I will say.
Come on. There's no way.
It was great. I think about it often. Because there's nothing else to do in Buffalo other than think about food, as you can tell.
Paul says, did you know that Domino's was responsible for the national popularity of wings? Are you saying Domino's Pizza has the best wings ever? Is that what you're trying to suggest?
Ugh.
We might have to sample just to see.
No, that's okay.
We may have to.
That's all right. I don't think we have to.
C. Newton says, danger, if you go to Canada, they might convince you to Hillary yourself. Okay. So you're saying they might convince me to marry a very elite, connected, wealthy white guy who used to be governor, who committed all kinds of crimes and people mysteriously disappeared? Odd, but okay. Sure. Honey West says, I'm a member of the channel, but it's under my secret identity of my real name. Is it really? That's crazy. Leave the shorts at home next week. Yeah, because you're saying it's freezing up there. Still, at the end of April, beginning of May. Don't go if sick. They'll offer you maid to Canada. Oh, I see. That's the Hillary we're talking about. They'll probably say you're very old, you're advanced in age, so I should off myself because I'm offering nothing to society. And clearly, if they say that to me, then I will have known that they've watched the show because my show also offers nothing to society. So it would make sense to me. Paul says no, but Domino's made wings popular nationwide. So okay, so how could they make them popular if they aren't the greatest? The greatest of buffalo wings. How would they be popular if they weren't the greatest buffalo wings? That's the question in my mind. Jane says, last time I had pizza in Canada, it was bad. The worst pizza I've ever had in my life has always and still remains to be in Switzerland. My dad and I were traveling Bavaria and Austria and Switzerland and northern Italy and crossing the Dolomites, and we stopped for pizza in Switzerland, and it was the absolute hands down worst pizza I've ever had in my life. Second worst pizza was probably in Italy. Likely.
Really?
Yeah, they actually don't know how to make pizza. They have no idea. They won't even put pineapple on pizza. Like, what kind of country is that? I mean, perhaps we should consider occupying Italy again. Maybe our time there after the war wasn't long enough. I don't know. I'm just saying. Just point it out. In Proximus, welcome back. Good to see you in the chat. With free healthcare all around, they have to thin the herd every now and then, Joe. Hopefully they won't take the opportunity to thin the American herd while I'm there. Anyone paying Doug is on the team, says, anyone paying attention to what's sitting at the head of the Vatican now? It's more concerned about Islam than Christians being slaughtered worldwide. Is he really? He's actually spoken out against the persecution of Christians by Islam. So I'm not sure that that's true. Even if you don't love Leo, okay, there's lots to be criticizing about, but Leo has in fact called out the persecution of Christians by Islam. He's done so publicly. Judy, hello to you. Douglas, there you go with the pineapple on pizza heresy. What do you, heresy? You mean orthodoxy. Pineapple makes excellent pizza. You add, 3 or 4 inches of cheese, some barbecue sauce, an inch or two of crust, obviously. Thicker the better. And then as much meat as humanly possible can be put on the pie. And there you go. The greatest pizza ever. Actually, the whole sky, maybe Rudy Carlos and I go up the tower. I'm thinking that might be the deal. Because that looks pretty amazing, actually. I mean, do most people survive the tower? Like, I'm sure our luck is it'll fall over when we get there. It's probably so old, they're probably getting the maid treatment right now, that tower. So they'll wait till we get up to the top, and then it'll probably crumble under our feet or something like that. But the good news is they will eventually make a made-for-TV movie about our story. And I'm sure some young, incredibly handsome actor will play my character. No doubt. That's how it goes down. Stuffed crust, says Julie Jr., Holy Roman Emperor. Stuffed crust. God grief, man. You're making me hungry right now. I could totally go for that. Pizza doesn't exist without pineapple. Thank you, C. Newton. Finally, the voice of reason. Christine OFS says, I like pineapple without the pizza. But I'm an Italian.
I agree with Christine personally.
No way. Stop. I didn't see that coming.
Sorry.
Pineapple on pizza pull?
Now, banana peppers, now we're talking.
I like banana peppers too, actually. I used to buy just the jar of them. I could just sit and eat them.
Somebody clip this. Joe just agreed with something I said about food. This might never happen again.
Yeah. Then you put honey mustard on it. It's even better.
No, that's okay. We can leave that part out.
It's totally better.
No, it's all right.
Brian says Michael Matt played some good clips of Pope Leo on his trip to Africa, and other times he mentioned the Christians being persecuted. Yeah. Yeah, I like Michael Matt. He's very reasonable, Michael Matt. Honestly. Very, very reasonable. Now, I have a clip here. I got to find it, but where was it? I know I saved it. What did I do with it? Oh, okay. Maybe here it is.
The many victims of here I would especially call to mind the many victims of violence, including religiously motivated violence in Bangladesh, in the Sahel region, and in Nigeria, as well as those of the serious terrorist attack last June on the parish of St. Elias in Damascus. Nor do I forget the victims of jihadist violence in Cabo Delgado, Mozambique.
There you go. There's one example of Leo calling out the persecution of Christians worldwide. Now, I imagine, all self-respecting popes would agree with me that pineapple does belong on a pizza. But we don't need to fact check that. We just go with it. Michael Matt these days is on fire, says Diane. Hello says, I like pineapple in an adult beverage. Is an adult beverage a.k.a. pizza? Because if so, that's fine with me. Nicholas says, Joe, what's better, Chick-fil-A or Raisin Cane's? I don't actually eat at either of those places. But, I don't know. I mean, I suppose I would go with Chick-fil-A if I had to. I mean, I've always been a sucker for the waffle fries, but I can't actually eat that anymore, so there's that. Now I'm hungry. Golly gee whiz. Hallow says, there is a barbecue place near me that has pizza. I get an all-meat pizza with smoked brisket. Best pizza I have ever had. That actually sounds pretty fantastic.
Yeah, that sounds good.
There is video. Have you guys seen this? Huskers reminded me of this. Says he's from Chicago, meaning Leo. He would say ketchup doesn't belong on a hot dog. I think in Chicago, if you put ketchup on a hot dog, that's an immediate death penalty charge. That reminded me because there's these videos of this YouTuber, TikToker, I don't even know what he is, but some online social media guy who likes triggering people. And so he did this whole video of him at he was in Italy at Italian restaurants, and he was filming himself, but he's really just filming the people behind him as he's like obliterating their food. You know, like he would do like everything countercultural that really upset and triggered all the locals. Like he would he was putting ketchup on his pizza, and I think it was the waiter or somebody came and snatched it away from him and chewed him out for it. It was kind of hilarious. So, but that's part of our cultural problem these days. Is we have all these TikTokers, YouTubers that are always trying to trigger everybody, making everybody a part of their video, whether they volunteered or not. I kind of hate that, but it was kind of funny at the same time. Catholic Jedi Knight says the next schism in the church over the pineapple heresy. Yeah, if you don't put pineapple in your pizza, pretty much you're gonna go to hell forever. Easy says, I just don't like it when Michael Matt starts getting nasally and doing voices. I think would make his point. I think he can make his point just as well with his normal voice. What's wrong with making sounds and voices? It makes it more entertaining, I would argue. Cane's has secret dipping sauce. It's basically Ranch 2.0. Is that the same sauce as what James claims is the greatest buffalo wing dipping sauce? Probably. It's probably just blue cheese ranch.
I don't think
Probably
cane
all it
sauce would work on a wing, though.
It would or wouldn't?
I do not think it would work, no.
Why not? It's the same thing.
It's just too much. I don't know. Although I must admit, here, I'm basing this off of what I've heard about cane sauce because I've never had it myself. I've never been to Raising Cane's, so.
Well, we're gonna get you converted. Don't you worry. You're gonna be investing in Wegmans, private supply, private label of honey mustard before it's all over. I guarantee you.
I like honey mustard. It's just not for wings. You'll come around.
It's for wings. It's totally for wings.
Joe's great conversion, his second conversion is
all right,
coming.
Teriyaki sauce. That'd be my
like 2
backup.
weeks.
Teriyaki sauce be the next greatest thing. So you got honey mustard, teriyaki sauce, maybe blue cheese. Maybe.
Oh.
I don't even. It might even be. It had to fall to fourth. I'm not even sure it can be a third.
Joe will come around. Give it time. He'll come around.
Jane says, Joe, you are a bit of sunshine and joy in the midst of difficult, sad church news. Great job. Thanks. Appreciate that. Brian says, I'm going to invent a brisket stuffed jalapeno popper pizza. Now that actually sounds, hold on. Wouldn't that just be called a calzone? It kind of sounds like the description of a calzone, just with jalapenos, which also sounds pretty good actually right now. Two Twister 77. Good day. Have you tried Dave's hot chicken? It's a nice alternative to the other chicken places. I've never even heard of Dave's.
I've had that. Chicken. That is good.
Jane says, I remember an episode of Yogi Bear where he goes to France. Hey, boo-boo. Uses ketchup and causes an international incident. That's great. Did you guys watch the live action Yogi Bear? My family loved that film. It was great. Hey, a picnic a basket. I grew up on Yogi Bear. I loved it. Great. My youngest son, Colby Thomas Joseph Pio. He absolutely loved it. He's watched it many times since. Elizabeth, thank you for being a member of the channel. I do appreciate you. God bless you. Says, my daughter and I were in Portugal at a buffet. They had a big bowl of mayonnaise. And when we asked them what that was for, the waiter said because he was told Americans put mayonnaise on everything. Do we really put mayonnaise on everything? My family make our own mayonnaise at this house. My kids make it for us. We created a jar of it. It lasts us a week or so, a couple of weeks maybe. My kids probably put mayonnaise on almost everything, but not me. I certainly don't put mayonnaise on everything. The things we use mayonnaise for that I absolutely love is we will put mayonnaise on meats that we're about to cook. It makes them so moist and tasty when they're done. So like you put them on chicken breast or whatever. You get pork chops, put them in the oven with mayonnaise on. Comes out moist and perfect. It's great. Hallow 334, wings have to be hot enough to make my eyes water. Why? C-New 10 says a great wing is like a great steak. No dipping sauce. Oh, do you go, is that how you guys do it? No dipping sauce? You're like, this whole time you've been pulling my leg. Oh, you got to have that blue cheese ranch. It's really you just eat them straight, don't you?
I mean, you can eat a good wing straight, I suppose. Emphasis on good wing, like not the ones that you often consider good wings.
Okay.
Sheridan Hotel. I'm not talking to you, by the way, or whatever.
Greatest.
Domino's.
Have you ever seen the Sheridan Hotel in Nashville, New Hampshire? It looks like a
Nope.
castle. It literally looks like a fort. How could it not have the greatest wings ever? It looks like a fort, like a castle. Go ask Father Brantich. He's a priest. He would never lie to you. Okay. He'll tell you.
Father Brantich has had the wings here. He knows.
We should get him on just to solve this mystery. I have to put chicken in the oven with sweet potatoes now. You should put mayonnaise on top first, Christine. You're going to love it. Great talk today. Just wanted to say Dr. Peter Kwasniewski is a blessing to the Catholic Church with zeal, promoting and preserving beauty, sacred music, writings, zeal. I found Dr. K during a bioweapon lockdown. I know it, right? John Paul Sandoval says the Texas Twinkie pizza might become a thing if done correctly. The Texas Twinkie pizza. I'm going to have to look that up. The Doomslayers on the team. I put spicy ketchup on my pizza. It's good. I think the Italians would disown you for doing it. But
Spicy ketchup. Never heard of that.
I make my own dupe of Miracle Whip, says Diane. So we're not the only ones. We're not the only ones. What else next week? Next week's going to be a very interesting week. This week, we still have to figure out the rest of this week, but I do know that the Bishop Strickland's coming back this week, of course. So we are going to hopefully get a whole lineup of great conversations going for you this week. But like every week here at the Catholic Take, you just never quite know what you're getting. It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, because things evolve very quickly, and we're also following the headlines, and so we have to kind of keep things open, and it becomes the daily grind. And honestly, it sucks a tremendous amount of bandwidth of my life just tracking conversations and trying to find guests to talk about those things. Like, it is a never-ending battle. Breaking news. Breaking news, less than an hour ago now, Apple CEO Tim Cook has officially stepped down from his role at Apple. Will they get a heterosexual CEO again, is the question. Is the question of the day. Are you guys Apple or Android people? Let me know in the chat. I've been an Apple person since 2008.
I feel very strongly about that debate, actually.
Do you really?
Yeah, I'm pro Apple.
You are pro Apple.
My Android used to drive me nuts.
Really?
You know how?
I don't know.
Maybe you can relate to this. Doesn't it just feel like the Apple stuff 99% of the time just works and does the thing you want it to do? I feel like that wasn't the case when I had an Android. There was always a problem of some sort.
The problem I have with Apple is, one, they're an immoral company. Run by immoral people.
This is true, yes.
But so is everybody else. So,
Right.
okay, so there's that, right? It's like you're not going to find saints at Google. You're not going to find saints at Microsoft. None of these companies. They're all run by degenerates. So there's that. But the other problem I have with Apple, and it's like they get, okay, every year they come out with a new, and it's mostly just, camera updates. Like, oh, this year, the 2026 model, you have 18 lenses with 16K raw ProRes raw video and nowhere to store the stupid thing. Like, what? Like, one video and it blows my memory away. And now what do I do now? And I'm already paying extra money just to increase my cloud storage to house all these in these photos and videos and whatever. It's like they've created the tool, the infrastructure with which now we can use these tools to live and breathe and do all of our things. And then it's like a catch-22, because I've got, tens of thousands of videos and photos that I never do anything with. And like the 2024 was the year of the road trip for me and my family. We visited like 25 states that year. And the New York trip was the biggest portion of that. And I got back and I was like, oh, I'm going to take all of those photos and I'm going to make a photo book out of it. You would think that by now I would be able to take I would be able to just like select, like I would be able to say, hey, Apple, take my 2024 photos from all my road trips, because you know all of my metadata, because you spy on me all the dang time with your spying technology, invented in Israel, by the way, and just make me a photo book. But no, that's not how it works. So instead, you have to spend countless hours trying to pick photos, drag and drop, reframe, repost them, like fix them. It's like it should just be 3 clicks and order, the book arrives in the mail. Boom, there you go. It is so counterproductive. But generally, to your point, yeah, I just think it's more seamless of a product than Android for sure. 100%. But I used to use, I've got like 4 iMac computers. I've got 3 or 4 of them. I used to use iMacs all the time. I don't use them anymore at all. I used to have an iPad. I don't use that anymore. I think it works better if you live and breathe the Apple world, but I certainly don't. Now I only have the iPhone, and it a lot of times drives me nuts. But I got to say, I had to go get a new phone this year because I ran out of storage all the time. I needed to upgrade to like 256K instead of 128 or megabytes for storage. And so far that is working for me. But the biggest update, the biggest benefit out of this phone,
battery life is my guess.
Battery life. Like, holy, the thing goes, I never charge my phone ever now. It lasts all day long. I'll go to bed with more than 50% battery life most days. That's unbelievable. Like, it is stellar, the battery life on this thing. So good. And I got the Pro version, so I can actually, like, it's got the USB-C jack. I can plug a USB-C, like a hard drive to it, and I can record video straight to the hard drive. Kind of cool. So if I'm traveling, I don't have to carry my big camera, my big rig. I could just literally carry this on a hard drive. I could build out a stand for it and all of that, and it would be great video. It'd be amazing. I can get it in 4K, 8K, all of that, ProRes, all of it, right onto a hard drive. That's pretty amazing, actually.
There's something weird with like the differences in the cameras, though, because I've noticed like the specs are always better on an Android camera. But if you actually compare it side by side with Apple, the Apple often looks better for some reason of the same picture. I never understood that.
Yeah. My oldest son, oh boy, just looking at this video clip of IDF soldiers mocking Christians in a Christian church. Our greatest allies having a good laugh at us. Greatest allies. So glad to give him my tax dollars, I got to tell you. Anyway, my oldest son, he is a huge Android fanboy, and he always gives me grief because like for years his cameras were like way more amazing than ours. But I don't know. These are pretty stellar cameras. And honestly, it's all AI now anyway, right? It's just AI technology behind the lenses, sharpening or doing whatever. But I've got 3 lenses on mine, so it's got great zoom capability. It's pretty great when it comes to just camera technology. And as a filmmaker, it gives you so many options to just do this. Just take this one device and go to town, honestly. Making it very, very convenient. But in general, I'm kind of getting to the point in life where I'm ready to be done with social media. I'm ready to back off of constant scrolling, and like it just feels depressing most of the time. You know what I mean? And being on the phone all the time, as I have to be 24/7, it's just taking its toll on me psychologically, emotionally. So I almost kind of want a dumb phone now. I kind of just feel like I maybe want to switch to a dumb phone that has no real internet capability. Like you can navigate, take pictures, maybe message, but like that's it. And just kind of get away from all of that capability. It just kind of, I don't know, feels too much anymore. Hello says, I have an iPhone 15 Pro Max. I usually upgrade every 3 years. They aren't going to get 1.1 thousand out of me every year. Isn't that crazy how many people like will upgrade their phones every year? Oh, I got the 2026 model. I need a new model. It's like getting new Jordans every year or something. It's like, are you out of your mind? You do not need the latest and greatest every year. The camera business, I've got all these cameras. They're the same way. Every year they come out with a new model for that year. And people go buy that new camera. I'm like, why are you spending so much money? Like this camera right here, this G85. This is a micro 4/3 camera. It's my top-down camera. It is fantastic. It's still a great camera. And that camera's, I don't know, 10 years old. It's still a fantastic camera. Works great. This GH5S, I bought that in 2018 for my first documentary film. Fantastic camera, works great. And all these cameras are way more than you need most times. But every year, I just don't understand rich folks. I don't understand. This is why James is here to interpret for me, because he's of that class.
Yes, of course.
He can interpret for me. Like you probably buy the brand latest and greatest, Dodge 5500 Cummins diesel every year.
Joe, I had to beg for like 4 years to get a camera in the studio here. Any camera.
But you got a great camera now.
We've got,
the
two or three of them actually now.
You got the X.
So you're all set up when you come to town.
The X is a great camera. It is a great camera. I love it. Senior 10, Doug. You were way kinder than I. Doug, what have you done now, Doug? Doug, what have you done now? I see the soldiers mocking the Catholic faith, and I really don't have a warm, fuzzy feeling about them. No, neither do I. I don't have a warm, fuzzy feel. I have a feeling, but it ain't warm and fuzzy. Diane says, yep, you're paying for the camera, and that's why I don't get the most expensive phone. Cigar Mode says, goal, maintain the oldest model phone you can that will still take security updates. They're making that harder too, aren't they? Tooth Twister says, the American culture has been programmed towards immediate gratification. We have been, it's true. We don't, I guess I speak for myself, but I don't think I do well with, like, I want what I want and I want it right now. I don't want to wait. Paul, you're on your 4th day eating habanero peppers. You can hardly get out of bed. Why are you still eating them if you can hardly get out of bed? What are you doing to yourself over there? Oh, we used to give, when my oldest, we adopted our oldest, and we were learning the hard way how to parent at that time. And we were having some miscarriages and such, you might be new here, but my oldest was brought to us as an opportunity. He needed a home. He was in a very bad, difficult situation, and he needed a home, and I was not like motivated to provide that home at the time. But it was God's holy will, and we cooperated with that. God put us in a situation where we needed to come to his rescue, and so we decided to do that. Long story short, we adopted him. And we were trying to learn how to parent, how to discipline. And I was trying not to be, my dad with the leather belt and that kind of thing. So we were experimenting with various forms of punishments and whatever. And one of them was habanero peppers. So he did something. I forget what he did exactly. And we fed him on habanero pepper, and he liked it. I'm like, that doesn't work. Dang it. Like, I kid. You're supposed to not like it. He was like, oh, that's pretty good. I'll take another if you got it. Like, oh, that boy. He was a lot. He was a big handful for us. our oldest son. God love him. Married with 3 kids now. And now he has his own discipline issues to deal with. So the joke's on him. Ha ha. Goes around, comes around. But that's life, that's parenting, and I still don't like habanero peppers. I do like stuffed jalapenos, though. The cheese, oh, man, I could eat those up all day. Those are so good. Now I'm hungry, and I'm not supposed to eat today. God love you. Thanks for being on the team, though. Appreciate you guys being a part of A Catholic Take, part of all of it. Appreciate you liking and sharing our content, subscribing, and all of those things. It means a lot to us. Truly, it does. And we'll see you right back here for another round of A Catholic Take. And until then, we'll see you.